Welcome to the Worth Listening podcast, where we focus on having positive and productive conversations around money. I'm your host, Lauren, a 4-time Olympian and certified financial planner. On this show, my guests share their money stories. Everyone has a unique story and experiences both wins and losses when it comes to money. My intent is to give listeners something they can relate to, something that builds their courage to be open and take control of their own money story. When I'm not creating a great show for my listeners, I'm running my company, Worth Winning, where I help individuals and families organize their finances. Check us out at worth-winning.com. All right, now on with the show. I have been hiding out, trying to be quiet as much as possible, which is not really possible in my line of work, hoping that my voice would come back. So for those that don't know, I have been struggling with this voice problem since about April. Some days I have half a voice, and most days I have no voice. But I push through anyway. The show must go on. So here we are, episode number 9 of Solo Podcast. And today I want to start by talking a little bit about patting yourself on the back, rewarding yourself, acknowledging who you are, giving yourself a medal. So the World Championships for track and field just passed, and I got to watch lots of new athletes earn medals and become the best in the world at their event. And sometimes we think, I'm just a regular Joe. I don't have any accolades. I'm not good enough. And we kind of create this negative self-talk. So today, I am encouraging you to give yourself first place at something. There are so many things that so many of us are the first at, and we don't realize what an accomplishment it is. So what are you the first of? Maybe you're the first to be born in America. Maybe you're the first in your family to go to college. Maybe you're the first in your immediate circle to earn a professional role. Maybe you're the first in your circle to be doing a professional role of some sort. Maybe you're the first to buy a home. Take a minute to ponder and reflect on what you're the first to do, what you're first at. You are the first, and it's something to be celebrated. Everybody is the first at something. So dig deep, find something positive, and let's start creating that energy in our lives. All right. So today we're going to be talking about how I am approaching organizing my finances. So I embarked on this solo episode journey at the beginning of this year because a lot of people kept asking, when are you going to tell your story? When are you going to do an episode, Lauren? And I thought about all the questions that I ask various guests that come on. And so I figured I could write a book about every single question. And I thought about all the questions that I asked the guests that come on. And I said, why don't I take some time and really break down my answers to those questions? Obviously, with the guests, we can't talk for hours and hours. So people give us their Cliff Notes version and answer those questions. But I thought it would be a great idea if I took some time and answered each question in an episode. So today we're going to be answering the questions about how I approach my finances, how I track my spending, about why I have a financial planner, even though I am a certified financial planner, and then about the way that I've changed things, the things that I've gone through and the effort I needed to put in to change things. And then last but not least, we're going to talk about how I am creating confidence that I am on the right track. So if I was to sum up the approach to organizing my finances right now, it is that the biggest part of me staying organized is my budget. And I know I talk about it all the time, but I really truly believe that that's a foundation for understanding what you want to accomplish financially. And on many episodes, I've talked about a software called You Need a Budget. That is literally the name of the software, and I love it. So it's called YNAB for short, YNAB. And for me, inside of YNAB, I have 4 budgets because I have separate bank accounts for the different things that I have going on, because creating separation is key. So as it pertains to getting organized, if you're an entrepreneur, if you have a side hustle, I always recommend that people create some barriers between the different things that they're trying to accomplish. So even if you're a W-2 employee, you just get one paycheck, what kind of buckets do you need to put your money in? There are your fixed expenses. There are your variable expenses. There's your savings. There's short-term savings, long-term savings. And it's better to have different accounts for those things so that you know what that money is doing and what purpose it has. In my case, I use You Need a Budget because you can make different categories and it kind of acts as if there's different accounts. Now, for some things, like I said, I don't want the money commingled at all. So as an example, I have 4 different budgets because I have 4 separate things that I'm kind of working on. So there's my personal finances. There's a budget for my rental properties. There's a budget for the consulting work and speaking that I do. And then my company, my financial company, of course, has its own setup as well. So worth winning, consultant, real estate, and personal. Those are 4 different budgets. Those are 4 different accounts so that things are not commingled, so that it is clear what monies are being spent in those different accounts. Then to take it to a next level, once I get into one of those budgets, within the personal budget, there is travel, there is emergency fund, there is regular monthly expenses, there's personal care, you name it. So within that actual account, I create a budget around the things that are relevant in that account so that I can track my spending around those. And I just believe it's really, really important to know where your money is going, and not just know where your money is going, but to tell your money where to go. Because if you just spend and then you look at your bank account and you're spending without a clear plan, you're spending without purpose. I think it's Dave Ramsey that always says, if you don't tell your money where to go, you'll always be wondering where it went. And I found that to be so true. It's been game changing for me to plan ahead to spend. And the big thing that I found, the light bulb that came on for me, especially as an entrepreneur, is that generally not reaching our goals is an income problem. So for me, some things just don't happen because I did not bring in enough funds to do them. You know, you map out all these different things you want to do, all these things you want to accomplish, and you realize they cost money. I want to take a stand-up comedy class. I want to get a massage once a month. I want to start training with a personal trainer. There's all these things that are on my list of to-dos, but all those things cost money. So it's like, well, if I'm going to add this to the budget, where's the income going to come from to be able to support this thing? And as an entrepreneur, your income is fluctuating. It's going up and down, up and down, up and down. So having a budget really helps you get a clear picture on how do I stabilize my income? How do I understand what my expenses are? And what's the baseline of what I need to do just to operate? And then anything above and beyond that helps me start reaching these various goals that I want to achieve. Many people do the opposite of what I just described, where it's like, I want to do this thing. I'm going to do this thing. I think there's enough money in the account. I'm going to charge it. And then you get to the end of the month and you realize there's not enough money to cover the credit card bill. That is not planning ahead, but planning in the moment. And that's what gets us in trouble because things are inevitably more expensive than we think they'll be. It's like, oh, this trip is about $500. And then you get on the trip and you forgot you got to eat 3 times a day when you're on a trip. You forgot your suntan lotion. You got to get extra, whatever the case may be. And it's important to be as forward thinking as possible. And then always to give yourself a buffer so that you're not going over as opposed to just spending and then finding out you're automatically over. One question I get a lot from entrepreneurs is about using YNAB, but also the responsibility of doing bookkeeping. So bookkeeping is tracking your expenses for tax purposes. And if you're doing something like creating a budget, you're also tracking your expenses. So some people are just kind of like, I have to do this thing twice and this is not fun. And why can't I just do it in one place? So accounting software is just going to tell you what you did. It doesn't actually allow you to kind of forecast ahead, plan ahead, think about what you're going to need money for. It just tells you this is what you did, this is what category it goes in, and you give that to your accountant for tax purposes. Budgeting is all about being forward thinking. So yes, you're categorizing what you did but you already were forward thinking about it. So as an example, you said, I'm going to spend $300 this month on food. And as you go ahead and buy food, you're categorizing those expenses and saying, this was going to this budget, this was going to that budget, so that you know when you get close to 300, you need to slow down, you need to not buy an appetizer, you need to stay home and buy groceries instead of going out to eat. Accounting software doesn't do that. It doesn't give you that option to know, did I spend too much? All it did was tell you what you spent. So yes, you probably need to do both. The other option, if you don't want to track your expenses in accounting software, is to get a bookkeeper. Now, of course, you also need to justify the expense of a bookkeeper. A bookkeeper is a convenience. So you can do your books yourself, and that's a good, affordable option, and it keeps you very aware of what your finances are, but it's also time consuming. So some people prefer the convenience of hiring someone to handle their books. And I'm kind of right on the brink of probably hiring someone. I've been doing it myself for ever, but it's finally getting to a point where, is this the best use of my time, or is my time more valuable spent elsewhere? It's something you've got to evaluate and decide whether or not you want to do. All right, so that's the main thing I'm doing to organize my finances right now. Now I want to talk a little bit about having a financial planner. So do I have a financial planner? The answer is yes. Why do I have a financial planner? I've mentioned it to you all before. I'm a planner who has a planner because I truly believe that everyone needs help optimizing their finances. Yes, I have expertise and a lot of education in the financial world, but accountability and objectivity is not something that I can offer myself. The accountability comes in another partner saying, like, did you do what you said you're going to do? Are you meeting your income goals? Did you put X number of dollars into your retirement plan? Like, there is something about the accountability, and then someone who is on the outside looking in, being objective about what you're doing with your finances, that helps you be able to optimize. And I think it is a very worthwhile investment to spend a little bit of money to have someone tell me what to do with the majority of my money. And that's, I think, the thought process that sometimes we miss. Is like, why would I want to pay someone to help me organize my finances when that's more money out of my pocket in and of itself? And that's the thing that holds us back from getting started. You got to think of this as an investment in something that is going to take your finances to the next level. There's various levels of what you might need. So maybe you need just a 1 hour sort of thing to kind of bounce some ideas off of someone before you make a big financial decision. Much better to pay to ask some questions and think about, am I doing this all right, than to just jump off the ledge, do it, and then regret it later. I like to work with people on a long-term basis. So my plan is that with my clients, we're working together forever. And if you feel like you want that long-term commitment to someone, then you should look for a certified financial planner, look for somebody who is fee only, and look for somebody who is fiduciary. So you want to partner up with somebody that is going to be looking at your full financial picture, is going to charge you a clear fee that you can understand, no shady underlying commissions, fees, stuff that you don't know, make it look free, but it's not really free thing. So you want to make sure you understand what you're paying, and then you can assess on a regular basis the value for what you're paying. And then from the fiduciary standpoint, that means that person needs to do what's in your best interest. And it's crazy that in the financial industry, there are people out there that don't have to do what's in your best interest, but you want to make sure that the person that you're going to be working with is going to decide to be doing that. So those were definitely 3 things that were key in me finding someone to help me organize my finances. And then personality fit, of course, is something else, in addition to really understanding what my needs were and whether or not they were going to be able to meet my needs. Because if at the end of the day, I don't feel better about the things that are pain points for me, then it's not going to be a valuable relationship. Some people have the right answers. They can crunch the numbers and they can hand them over to you, but you need to tie the right answer to your values and in a way that is going to help you create action and implement the plans that you're making. So you got to find somebody that's a good fit. And if you feel like you truly are not in the space to get a financial planner, or maybe can't afford someone just yet, or you kind of got a big mess on your hands and you just kind of got to start at ground zero with getting rid of credit card debt. So I love certified financial planners, but another thing that I love is accredited financial counselors. So sometimes you are not ready to start planning. You got to deal with the emotions around money first. You need to deal with some baseline sort of things and just get some basic financial literacy in place. And I love that financial counselors have that ability. So you said, if you're in a situation, you got a lot of different debts and things like that, you can sit and talk to a financial counselor and they help you get organized, help you understand, where do I start cleaning up things so that I can get to ground zero and then start to move forward. Because sometimes people can't even think about creating a plan because there's so many red flags or balls that have been dropped, and it's just creating a lot of stress in their life. So if you don't find a certified financial planner, then look for an accredited financial counselor. I've actually been doing the coursework to become an accredited financial counselor, and it's been really, really eye-opening for me to see the different ways that you can serve people and the different types of money problems that people are bumping into. But the biggest thing that I want to encourage you guys to do is get somebody who has some sort of certification. Yes, you can read a financial book and decide you're a guru overnight and start charging people for your advice, but there is something to be said for someone who has some certifications, who's making the commitment to get education, to pass exams, to do continuing education. They're dedicated to this field and to this profession, as opposed to someone who passed exam simply to figure out how to sell as much as possible. I don't believe in the transactional, serve as many people you can, high volume, low value kind of financial advice. I prefer much more to build a relationship with people and meet them where they are. So find what's right for you. I always include in the show notes my website. There's a website called NAPFA, and there's another one, XY Planning Network, that you can go to look for someone to help you. Now I want to talk to you a little bit about like what for me has been the hardest thing in organizing my finances. And I just have to say that though I live by the pay yourself first principle, it is incredibly hard. And sometimes it's even painful to do. Sometimes I just want to spend this money today, but I know that if I don't plan for tomorrow, tomorrow's going to show up and I'm going to be mad because I didn't save anything yesterday. Pay yourself first is an incredibly important thing to do. Put it away. Make sure that it's done so that you have what you need for the future, and then work with what's left. We are all very smart people. We all know that it's true, but the truth is not easy. Think about the times you had to tell someone the truth and it was just an awkward conversation, etc. This is a truth that we all need to be living, the pay yourself first truth, because it works. It's real. It will help you get to financial stability, but it is hard. I see the money coming in. Once again, as an entrepreneur, income is fluctuating. I don't earn the same amount every month. I don't earn a paycheck every 2 weeks. So I see money coming in and I get super excited. And it's hard sometimes because I'm like, yes, money is in. Now I can do blah, blah, blah. And it's like, ooh, wait, I don't have as much as I think I have because I need to pay myself first. It is hard, but that's where accountability comes into play. That's why the financial planner exists. That's why it's important to be open and honest about what you're doing with your finances so that you can continue to reach those goals. So be encouraged. I also struggle with pay yourself first, but I know how important it is. And I'm so glad every time I do it and I see myself getting closer to the goals I've set. And I'll say too, I had to make a lot of changes to get organized. I had to decide where I wanted to go. I had to ask myself some questions about who I am and what I value. And I had to get motivated. So don't be afraid to create some momentum, some positive energy, start talking yourself up the same way you would get hyped before you do a workout or compete in a competition. Build some momentum about what you're about to do. Money is not bad. Changes have to happen. You can achieve your goals, but you're going to have to make changes. And making changes comes with some self-reflection in addition to some motivation. And now that I'm implementing on a regular basis financial goals and I'm checking in, I have a lot more confidence that I'm on the right track because I have a plan. And now sometimes I get in that kind of, if I knew then what I know now, I coulda, woulda, shoulda. But instead, I'm choosing to focus on what I can do today to secure tomorrow. And if you're a do-it-yourselfer, that's fine, but you still need to have a blueprint. What is my emergency fund? What does it need to be? What is it going to look like? Then you need to start maximizing your retirement. If you still have extra after you've maximized your retirement, and I'm not talking about doing the employer match, I'm talking about maxing your retirement. So that's $19,000 a year for most people. If you have money after that, that's when you start looking into other types of investments. It is very, very hard for the vast majority of America to get $19,000 into their retirement account. Yet and still, we hear all these gimmicky things out there right now about invest here, open this account. Here's a commercial for blah, blah, blah company. Here's a commercial for so-and-so's company. If you have a 401k or a 403b or TSP available at your employer, start there. It's already done for you. Someone is already managing the investments. And the key thing you need to do is start getting money in it so that you are invested so that money can start working for you. Don't get so stressed out about, oh my goodness, I'm not investing. I need to learn more about investing. I need to take a class. People are creating so much anxiety around what we don't know. And so therefore we can't start because we don't know how to do it and we don't have time to learn how to do it, or we don't have interest in learning how to do it. The key thing you need to know about investing is that it is tied directly to saving. So you need to mentally be a good saver, and the place that you're saving is an investment account. That's the best way to think about this. Don't spend a lot of time on stocks versus bonds versus mutual funds versus this and that. Get the money in the account and let it start growing. Let it start working for you. Start thinking about 30 years down the road. Start stockpiling it in. But what did I say? First thing you got to do is get an emergency fund. Make sure you got enough cash on hand so that you're not pulling money out of investments when something else happens. And of course, all that goes back to having a plan, which creates the confidence that you need to be able to do the things you want. All right. I'm sure you guys are tired of listening to my raspy voice. Said I'm still going to keep bringing you the goods no matter what. Hopefully it gets better soon. Hopefully I find time to be quiet long enough to make my voice come back to normal. But I'd like to just close by telling you guys, don't look for an overnight miracle. If you follow the get rich slow principle, you will likely be rich way sooner than you think. Get rich slow is about being diligent, being disciplined, following your plan, and first creating a plan. I'm so excited that I have a plan and things don't always go as planned, but I'm dedicated to following it because I want things to happen over the long term. And I know that it starts by doing little things right in the short term. As always, if you have questions or suggestions for guests, if you would like to be a guest on the Worth Listening podcast, if you want me to help you organize your finances, please do not hesitate to reach out. We got your back. worth-listening.com